Hey everyone! So today I want to talk about a book that's honestly stuck with me long after I closed the last page. Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird. You might have heard it's about racism and injustice in the American South, and yes, it is. But it's also so much more. It's about growing up, family, courage, kindness, how we treat each other, and how complex people can be. This video isn't meant to attack anyone or make a statement about anyone's life. It's only my reflection, not about anybody. I just wanted to do a book review and share the personal thoughts and lessons I took from it. I won't be spoiling every detail or recap the entire plot. Instead, I want to talk about the reflective things that still feel very real today. And I'll share the actual lines from the book that really hit me and talk about why. One of the things that stood out to me is how many different kinds of people live in Maycomb. Some kind, some mean, some just trying to survive. Miss Motti once said, "There are just some kind of men who are so busy worrying about the next world they've never learned to live in this one, and you can look down the street and see the results." That line hit me. It shows how some people are so caught up in rules or appearances or being right, that they forgot how to actually live and treat others decently. And in Maycomb, we see exactly what happens because of that mindset. You see this in characters like Bob Evil, who's more concerned with hate and revenge than right or wrong, but also in Aunt Alexandra, who wants to keep up appearances and cares a lot about what's proper. Even Calpurnia, who raised Scout and Jem, had to switch the way she spoke depending on who she was with. It makes you think, how many people around us have to change themselves just to fit in? So why is the book called To Kill a Mockingbird? There's a part where Atticus tells his children, "Shoot all the blue jays you want if you can hit them, but remember, it's a sin to kill a mockingbird." Miss Motti explains that mockingbirds don't do anything but make music and bring beauty. So killing one, hurting someone innocent, is just wrong. Throughout the book, Tom Robinson is one of those mockingbirds. Boo Radley is too. They're both misunderstood, hurt, or judged just for existing. And it made me realize how easy it is for society to crush innocent people. In the end, Scout herself says, Atticus was right. One time, he said you never really know a man until you stand in his shoes and walk around in them. Just standing on the Radley porch was enough. That gave me chills, because when she finally understands Boo Radley, everything clicks. It made me think, how often do we judge people without ever trying to understand them? Now let's talk about Atticus. Not just a lawyer defending Tom Robinson, but a father who tried to raise his kids right in a messed up world. In chapter 9, Atticus says, "Simply because we were licked 100 years before we started is no reason for us not to try to win." He knew he'd lose the case. He knew the system was stacked against Tom. But he tried anyway. And that kind of quiet courage is something I admire so much. Even in the small things, like when Scout gets called names at school for what her father is doing, instead of lashing out, she says, "I could take being called a cover for him." That's when you see how much they're learning from Atticus. Not just what he says, but how he lives. Another line that stayed with me. It's never an insult to be called what somebody thinks is a bad name. It just shows you how poor that person is. It doesn't hurt you. It's such a calm but strong way to face hate. And in chapter 30, he says, "Sometimes I think I'm a total failure as a parent, but I'm all they got. If I connived at something like this, frankly, I couldn't meet Jem Scout. The day I can't do that, I'll know I've lost him." That line made me emotional because he's just trying his best, and that's enough. Jem and Scout's sibling bond is so real. They fight, they grow apart sometimes, but they're always there for each other. Like in chapter 14, he was now positively allergic to my presence in public. Totally relatable for anyone with an older sibling. But then, after a scary night, the full meaning of the night's events hit me and I began crying. Jim was now awfully nice about it. For once, he didn't remind me that people nearly 9 years old didn't do things like that. And even Atticus has these little quiet moments with his kids. Atticus reached out and massaged Jim's hair. His one gesture of affection. It's not always big speeches, it's these tiny moments that really show love. Now let's go deeper. Why did Tom Robinson lose the trial even though the evidence clearly proved he was innocent? Because of deep-rooted racism. The jury chose to believe a white girl and her abusive father over a black man who clearly did nothing wrong. There's a scene where Jem realizes that people of mixed race, like Dolphus Raymond's kids, are rejected by both white and black communities. He says, "They're real sad. They don't belong anywhere. White folks won't have them because they're colored. Colored folks won't have them because they're white." That moment really opened my eyes. The way society categorizes and excludes people based on race is devastating. And Mr. Raymond, who pretends to be drunk so people can understand why he lives the way he does, says, "I'm not much of a drinker, but you see, they could never understand that I live like I do because that's the way I want to live." It says so much about how society forces people to pretend just to be tolerated. To Kill a Mockingbird isn't just a story, it's a mirror. It made me think about justice, courage, family, and how we treat people who are different. Even now, those issues are still with us. And maybe the lesson isn't just don't judge others. Maybe it's listen, learn, stand up, try even when it feels hopeless. Because as Atticus said, being beaten before you begin is no excuse not to try. Thanks for watching. If you've read this book or if anything I said spoke to you, drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you haven't read it yet, I really recommend it. See you in the next one.